Hey, how's it going? Hi, look at my signs. Thank you. So, I like to keep to a loose schedule, and I like to put out a video on Sunday, but, couldn't do it, I think because of what's been happening here in the United States, and, I can't, tear my eyes away. I'm sorry. It's hard to not watch and see what's gonna happen and who it's happening to and the whole thing, because it's part of a sequence of events. It's a chain reaction happening, and you kind of can suss out where it's gonna go and things, and so it's, for a lot of us, upsetting. And I think I was just really feeling a lot of that yesterday. I had a number of physical sensations that were pretty strong, and when those things happen, the first thing that my mind goes to is this some sort of physical illness manifesting or something, and check my heart rate and make sure everything's functioning the way it should, and then I'm like, okay, this is something else. So that happened a few times yesterday in different ways, and at one point, what I usually do is I'll watch some stuff and I'll socialize on social media for a little while, and and then there's things that I have to do that just require both of my hands and all of my attention elsewhere. So that's a way that I get away from it. And then also I deliberately take breaks and go meditate, and so I'm trying not to overwhelm myself, is what I'm saying. And there was no, it's I guess I either just gotta get used to it happening, or I just gotta let it happen, because I'm not able to stop it. I don't want to stop it. Whatever is happening is, like I said, it's a chain of events, and a lot of it is meant to happen. So, but it's hard to take. And even remembering that, we're here by prior arrangement, and so the amnesia of that's the only way that works, is for us to not remember why we're going through all of these taxing events and emotions. And it's hard not to get swept up in it too. To just get on this person is bash, 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 or whatever, I really would like to say more, trust me, but then I think better of it, because it ends up taking me to a place where I'm like, ooh, all of a sudden this feels really bad, so finally I learned that. I mean, it's not like I haven't been warned. And anyway, when you're doing something that makes you feel bad while you're doing it, because you're doing it, you eventually learn to stop doing that thing, because you don't want to feel that way. So that's kind of where I was at, but it was on a really amplified scale yesterday. At one point, I had to go stop and just go sit in the other room, and thankfully the cat was outside, because I think even that would have been it was just opportune that he was outside, because I was just kind of, I don't know, flipping out a little bit, and I just had to go sit there and nothing, no meditation music, nothing relaxing, just it's like, I need no stimulation right now. Like, I just have to go have no stimulation. And I can't even, like, remember what happened in the space of time. Why am I drooling? Excuse me. I don't know, even, like, remember that anything did happen. It's just kind of like a blank space of time. I didn't keep track of how long it was that I sat there. I think I dozed off eventually, which was good, but yeah, like, it wasn't until after I woke up, and then even after I woke up, I knew I felt better. I felt, like, less stressed out, but I still was like, I don't think I want to go near those things, my phones yet. I was like, I shouldn't be surprised. No one should be surprised when you start feeling that way with the information the things are giving us, but the point is, like, I was watching the show earlier, and they said, as I was thinking about, like, the prior arrangement thing, they're just, whatever the script was talking about, it just stood out, and it said, we made this world this way, and now we get to live with it, or something along those lines, and that is, like, so true. Like, truer words kind of thing. So it was just funny. And then there are, like, definitely more cheerful things out there happening. I just last week, some things kept happening. Like, I was having little difficulties every time I tried to, like, it just felt like every which way I tried to turn and try to do something. And it was like when I got paid and I had funds, but, like, multiple cards that I had were not working right. Like, some things were getting auto paid and some things were not, and I'm like, why is this not? And I had to go through all of these phone menus, which, my favorite thing. And there was just, like, so many. I had to get myself in a space of, don't lose it, don't get mad, just every time you want to, just swallow it, or whatever you gotta do, and just get through it, because that was the only way. And it was probably a good exercise for me, something that I needed to do, but I really didn't like it. The whole making everything electronic, like, I knew it was going to have problems. I knew it wasn't going to be good. And it's just starting to, like, show itself. But, they kind of, like, switched us over to this way of doing things and are, like, eliminating prior alternate ways, which, that's just irritating. Like, that's not necessary. You have no back door to when there's no electricity. That is not smart, but smart people supposedly came up with all these ideas, and the idea to just have their stuff monopolize everything. They had to know it was going to fail in the case of no electricity. That's not a thing that they can, like, get in the way of. I mean, they could, but they're not sciencing that way. They're thinking more about money than, like, real efficiency or contingencies. So that's irritating. But, go ahead and block all the old ways to do things. What do you think's going to happen? There are definitely going to be people, probably like me, that are going to be like, well, I'll just have to find a workaround. I'll just have to figure out some other way to do it, because that's already a thing for a lot of us. I guess I'm like griping about the things that are sort of inconvenient because they're like happening to me right now, but I don't think they're the only one they're happening to. I see stuff online where people are talking about devices they're using, or the systems they're using their devices to access, one or both or whatever, are just not acting right, or the way that they're supposed to. Like, you have an expectation that the thing is going to do a thing a certain way if you do all of the steps, and then things are not happening. Like with my trying to get my bills paid last month, which, you know, above all, I have to do that, because if you don't do that, then you have no foundation for anything else. So, or at least, I'm sorry, when I say you, I mean me. I don't know I don't know what's going on with you. Anyway, and then there's like so many people that are so upset, understandably. I mean, it's not like I'm not upset too about, you know, like the loss of life, and there's just, it's like a set of obstacles popping up in a grander sense, in a much more amplified sense, because not everyone is feeling the feels of these things the way that, like, I am, and like many other people are, to where they're like, that was not, you know, justified what happened to those people. And the whole, like, oh God, I don't even know, group of people marching around with guns and badges, asserting their authority that's, like, I don't know, made up in the moment, because they're not observing, like, the legal framework that exists. They're just doing their own thing, and they have carte blanche to do it because it comes from the top. And it's like, it's this whole thing. It's not just what they do. There's like a whole propaganda arm, and it's very much for us, all of us, to take. And I mean, I'm not the only one becoming more sensitive. I'm just aware of it, and like on top of it, and interested in it. It's happening to all of us regardless. Like, I can tell when my cat's feeling some stuff, you know, and it's like, wow, that, I mean, let me clarify that. I've had cats since I was a child, and, you know, have had deep relationships with them, so it's not like I never was able to notice them feeling stuff. Don't get me wrong, but I can feel that they feel something different from what I'm feeling, but on like the same level of emotion. And it's just like, oh God, kitty, how can I make you feel better? They're sponges, man. They're like, they just absorb whatever is around them. They're so open, you know. And my little guy is so friendly. Anyway, but yeah, like, we're all feeling stuff, and I'm just wondering if, like, those of us who, when I say like people are not aware of, like, that was probably the really wrong phrasing. People unaware of the woo-woo stuff that has to do with the emotions. I don't think you can dismiss emotions no matter your politics or, you know, whatever. Spiritual politics? I don't think anyone is unaware that they're affected. But maybe, new things in them are being activated, and that might be news to people. Yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I hope I hope I expressed something sensible there. But the bottom line is, like, it's going to keep ramping up. I think this is so that the people that I'm trying to talk about, that I feel like are not, well, they're just at a different level than the rest of us. They're just not, their perception is not the same. But I think the amping up of certain things is designed by us at a prior date to generally get to this point where everyone is on the same page. So it's, I think, pretty obvious that it's everything, like with the people doing the raids is like extra, and they're instructed, like, you know, am learning from various sources about their instruction. And so it's not, you know, like, a lot of us are looking at it and going looking at them as if they're your local PD. They're not operating by the same training or rules at all. They're just going by gun badge, we said so. Because they're inventing new immigration naturalization rules for theirs. Yeah, it's like a lot of things that are happening that are completely not what they're purported to be. And that does something to your mind. And I think that it's deliberate. Like, people know how to, like, mess with your mind. But I don't think it's working out the way they planned. I don't think at all they thought that people had the gumption to get up, especially the people in Minnesota. Hassan Planker did a report from there at a demonstration that it's daytime, clearly, and he's got on, like, the whole winter wear, like, Elmer Fudd style flap hat with, and I'm, you know, but it was like 20 degrees Fahrenheit below zero, so very cold for somebody who lives in LA. But good for him. Solidarity. He said at one point he wanted to cry. Thank you for your service. But yeah, those people, that needs to be done. That needs to be seen. I'm like, my opinion about demonstrating is probably not well received. Excuse me a second. Because I know there are other ways to do it that are less dangerous for the demonstrator, for the main thing, really. But that's something that a lot of people, like the majority of people, are not. They're like, that ain't gonna work. But you could try. You haven't tried it. We've tried all the other stuff. But this has to happen because everybody has to see how terrible it could be if we don't stop it. Like, if we don't change our minds. And then things move more into, like, what I am thinking about. Like, the way I wish that we would tackle this. Or not even tackle this, just, like, approach this problem and fix it. Which would be to not engage with ICE as much as the way we have. Like, I'm not saying to abandon people to their fate, but it is also like this is gonna come off really weird, but it's part of the script. It's part of the script we made for ourselves. Like the show. Remember, I said the person in the show said we made the world like this. We kind of did, like woo woo or not, we created the situation that's happening, and it's not to blame anybody, and it's not about who you voted for or not. These are agreements that are happening on levels that we don't really talk about, maybe because we already talked about it when we were arranging it, but it's, it's a situation where, thankfully, one of the lessons is that we're being forced together, forced into a solidarity, which is, we're having to be, it's like forced because we resist the idea, like there's always a caveat or, okay, but, or something, and this kind of like eliminates that kind of conversation. It's kind of like, no, this is the important part to pay attention to. Please stop making that noise. So, some of us are hard-headed. Would you not agree? I think we can agree that there's some stubborn of us out there. So I actually pulled these cards, I don't know, I think Saturday. And then I didn't get around to doing anything because of what I said. Like, I was just too emotional, I guess. Anyway, they're from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck, and the first card is number 30, so that leaves us with a 3, and it's Horseman, Herald of Change. Well, that's kind of apt. Change is happening now. It's like, it's now or never kind of a situation. It's now or else we're going to be in this other situation that, I don't want that. I'm not a fan. So, the protests, the very large assemblies of people, we are saying we're going to change it. Like, we don't like what happened. We're showing you, we're demonstrating our displeasure, and we're not coming at you with more than words. And so it's interesting that words are so much more painful than, like, ballistic wounds or something to these people carrying out the activities disguised as immigration enforcement. It's kind of ridiculous. I don't know what else to call it. Like, I'm sorry if you can't take that people are upset that you just slaughtered somebody in front of them. I think the reaction from the unarmed people is appropriate. But, I mean, I guess they are armed. I guess words can hurt you. Or words can get you hurt, which is why I have this. I'm going to say this. I don't know, maybe I said it in the last video, but it's been on my mind for a while. And I don't want to tell people what to do because I'm really not a fan of these going out and... I mean, when people don't get hurt, go for it. But there's a whole dynamic of this crew, this force out there, this policing force out there that is just baiting people, like begging you to react back violently. And I have been wanting to say, if you're out there, just don't taunt them. I mean, you can probably say a lot, but I think what would be even more devastating is if there were just a bunch of people assembled out there around them, people filming. I know you want a good shot and you want a good view, but just stay back. Stay back far enough so that they hopefully will feel comfortable enough to not come after you. And there's going to be enough. Everybody has a phone with a camera on it. Even the most piece of junk camera that I've had on a phone would make a video. Like, it's the numbers that'll count with the evidence. And so safeguard yourselves, you know. But something that I've been calling for, I know I talked about this the last time, something I've been calling for a long time was for us to stop running the machine for the corporations and the wealthy people, because then they turn around and they crap on you. They don't appreciate it. They don't want to give you, like, benefits for your time, and, you know, they want to treat you like a fraction of a person, like a fraction of what they think they are, which is ridiculous, because for as much propaganda or imagination that they think I think rich people in their rarefied atmosphere think that the people that are not them have all these ideas about them, and we do, but I don't think they're the same ideas that they think we have. And I also know that unless they came from being not rich, they have no idea what it's like to be not rich. You don't have the same kind of privilege, and people snooze up your butt, and people yesing every bad decision you make. For the rest of us, that's not a real world. And I don't know that that's true of, like, every rich person, but I think even the best of them, I just learned of somebody who does really great things for, like, the people that work for them and the places where they appear, and just is generally a good person charitably, publicly, but something just came out from their personal background in their life, and they're just as crappy as anybody else. So, yeah, the money doesn't make you better. And the person is wealthy, I think, from their work, but they came from wealthy too, which is interesting, because I don't know who's worse, the people who came from wealthy or the people that came from poor that become wealthy and just change into, like, a whole other person. Okay, I'm getting off into something that's not really what I wanted to be talking about. Point is like, as horrible as it feels and looks and, like, is, it's all happening so that we get something out of it. Like, you know, it's I used the word forced solidarity. It's not that is what is being forced. It's that disparate groups are collectively being horrified about the same thing. And that's where the force is happening, not with the collective solidarity. Solidarity. So anyway, next card is number 7, or 25, which adds up to 7, sorry. And it's the Garden of Venus card. And the subtitle on here is Rest and Renewal. That is interesting, this card, on a number of levels, because was it yesterday or Saturday? I think it was Saturday. No, it was yesterday. I started watching this movie, or I guess it was Saturday in the wee hours, whatever. I started watching this old movie from like the 50s, and it was something about Visitor from Venus or something like that. And it seemed to be an adaptation of the... Really? You gotta forget his name right now? Valiant Thor story. And if you don't know about that, I don't know that you can still look it up. Try, I guess. There's always Internet Archive. But Valiant Thor is a person, or came with a group of people of, I think, 4 or 5 individuals. And he looked human. You know, he looked like he could have been like Scandinavian. And he claimed to be from Venus. He came with a delegation. I don't know that this was publicized at the time. I think it was in the 50s? Maybe the late 40s, early 40s? I don't know. Maybe it was after World War II. That would kind of make sense. Because we let off an atomic bomb. Or a few. And there was testing that began. And all of this stuff which affects not just our world for a really, really, really long time, but it even reverberates to other dimensions, other parallel universes, and in the same way as it screws us up here, it screws them up there, and they didn't even have any part of it. Like, it's similar, but, like, I don't know what was happening there, but they weren't asking for it from us. I don't think. And so Valiant Thor came to, and he wasn't the only one. There are supposedly other emissaries from ET races that have been here and spoken with presidents for a long time, like maybe from the beginning. I've talked about the Pleiadians being in the background, like on the other side of where they would be if the picture extended beyond the frame. There'd be also Pleiadians in the group shot, you know, looking on. So, but they have come to plea with us to, like, don't set off nuclear stuff. Like, just don't do that. And, you know, and I guess they've offered us, like, help in so many ways to advance that has been denied because we, I don't know, I guess want to do our own progress our way, which is, like, you know, kind of, if you've lived here, I don't know, like a few decades, then you have an idea of what it's like here. We could be nicer to each other. We could show more, you know, concern for each other's physical and emotional persons. We have work to do. But that's kind of like why what's happening is happening. It's showing us, like, are we this sort of, like, emotionally bankrupt group of people? Or do we have concern for each other and all of the other beings and everything else that is here? You know, like, it extends beyond us people. We people, it extends to how we interact with the world, because everything we need, we get from the world, and it's other inhabitants besides us bipedal. So how, you know, we've kind of been conditioned into this anti-humanist, anti-beingist world, you know, like, I don't want to get all into the humanist, futurist thing, but anyway, the point was the Venus kept coming up, and so I always think of Valiant Thor, who was on another delegation where they tried to talk sense to us, and clearly we didn't listen, Because, oh yeah, I guess that was in the 60s when the Valiant Thor came in with his people. So, uh, anyway, if you would like to know more about that guy, I mean, he's been channeled on, like, the Hucolo channel, which is the human, colony channel, on YouTube. He's been channeled on there before, and other places too. I've seen him, but or heard it. So anyway, I watched that movie, and then my friend texted me. It was probably like a little while later, like a couple of hours later, and she texted me all of these things about warnings from ETs not to keep going our way, you know, and or to change our ways, because it's gonna help us. I don't know why we don't want to do that. And one of the things was Venus too, and I was like, okay, we got a recurring theme happening. You don't have to convince me. I'm like, yeah, let's be peaceful and have love for each other. And you know, I don't have some expectation that it's going to be like a kumbaya world where everybody's holding hands and skipping. I'm not going to like delude myself that way. I don't think I'm ready for that. But I mean, I can certainly love and appreciate you being here and being alive and your contribution to society overall, and want to protect your health and welfare. I can get behind that. Can't you? So, Venus, goddess of love, okay. There's one thing. And then, the actual planet, in this movie, it said a thing that is like, it exists in both science and spirituality, and it is that Venus has a really noxious to humans atmosphere. Like, we can't breathe in it, and that's enough for me, but I guess it has other, like, toxic features, and so we think of it as uninhabitable. But in this movie, the emissary, oh god, it wasn't even this movie, but there have been other movies about Venus, and like the atmosphere always comes up like it's like useless for us to go through it because we feel like we can't live there. Or maybe it was this movie. Nope, because that other one had a woman with them. But anyway, this is true, and it's so funny that the movie tells you this. Oh, I guess they do mention it in the movie that I saw, that I started out talking about. Jeez. Once you drive your ship, I got drive your ship, I got drive your bus, plane, I got all of the modes of transportation. How about a covered wagon? Okay, you drive your ship through the atmosphere, and then the people live underground, and they just have this beautiful, wonderful world that they were able to create underground, and it has like a sun and seasons, like everything a breathable topside would have. And so that is a recurring theme, because those are rumored to be here on Earth too, the underground societies where there's a sun. It's not the sun that we see in the sky out here, it's its own thing. Look it up. But it just kept coming back to like their message, and you know, they don't really relieve us of the notion that Venus is not approachable for human life, and it works for them for us to be all, what is the point? Why would we go there? It probably keeps their society nice the way it is. Keeps it nice the way it is for us to, for now, stay away, to be ignorant. But I just love how the movies and comic books and all kinds of things tell you things that, if you are open to it, you can hear from the ETs themselves to be the truth. So that's interesting. And that is also deliberate. Like, enough is allowed to leak in that, well, a lot of times we'll just be skeptical. We're going to be finding out that, like, oh my gosh, that's a true thing. Well, we have found out that stuff we've seen in shows become true things. Hi, Star Trek. Communicators in those tablets that they call a pad, we call them a tablet. That. Ooh, that could have been messy. So, rest and renewal. Escape from the toxic atmosphere. Go within your personal planet. Go underground. Cozy up to your underground sun. Revitalize, rest, rejuvenate. I think that's what that card is indicating for us. Because eventually you're going to have to come back outside into the toxic cloud, but you're, able again to come back for more, to deal with it, and to make your contribution to hopefully detoxifying the atmosphere. Like, I hope that can be a collective goal. It is. So, 54 card, that'll give us a 9. And it's The Crossing. The subtitle is Initiation. So, yes. Recently I've been noticing that a lot of our sort of past stuff, like even across the world, what did I have? Oh man, I made a Blue Sky about it, but there's a lot of past things, like contentious things that I guess people are felt were like unfinished or didn't end right, like the Nazis, and then like the KKK type people that are like, the Civil War, we shouldn't have lost. Like, we didn't really lose it. Like, all that loss was not really you guys, like, getting the no on that one. Like, you didn't really lose. But there are people that are like, don't, want to hang on to that stuff. And there's a lot of speculation in the woo-woo community that they're reincarnated souls from this era, from these eras, and boy, if they don't act like it, like we say stuff like it all the time, like, that we think people act like a Nazi from the Nazi times, or, the people that don't want to concede the loss of the Confederacy to the Union. They're out there. Like, we know there are people like that out there, and there was, conversation out there that the Black Panthers are back. I don't know how much truth there is to that. But it wouldn't surprise me, because I think the reason why they formed in the first place was to protect the communities, and now we have this situation where, communities of color are getting raided, and it's like, we're expected to abide by the laws that exist, but the people coming in and raiding the communities are not. So that's a real dissonance that we're having to work through, and it's just another, hopefully, if we get like our stuff worked out with them, that's like one part of dealing with a lot of that past stuff. Like, it came up again. People are representing through these avatars of those times, I feel like. And we just have to, like, work it out for good. Like, get it over and done and final. Like, this is the way that it is or isn't for all of us. And then some other new kind of difficulty or dissonance will come along to keep us on our toes. So I always point out what I feel like is a portal on here, and I just noticed something. Usually I'll talk about how, you make the crossing and you sort of learn some things and you're now an initiate, these things, and so you're going to move through the portal to the next level. So, and I don't know if this is true or not, because I haven't, consciously looked through a portal and seen what I just saw on this card, but I wonder, I can't see anybody on the other side of that. I never have. Like I said, I don't know if I've actually seen a portal. So, I just saw, a little strip of dark in front of there on the ground on this bridge, and it looks like a shadow coming out of the portal. So, someone about to step through. And maybe I've been getting a lot of imagery and feeling a lot about, being on the edge of something, just at a tipping point or just on the verge of stepping into a new thing. A moment of hesitation at the door. And maybe that's what that is. Or maybe it's just waiting, the new us waiting to step through once we've resolved these issues that have been kind of holding us back and giving us problems with each other that none of us have answers to our satisfaction. A lot happens all the time behind the scenes, under the surface, that we're just not aware of, and some of it is not great for us, and it's meant to not be great. It's meant to hold back certain things or actually retard certain things from developing. And so it's good to be aware of it, so that when all you can do is just kind of prepare yourself as best you can for the unknown eventualities. But really, just being in a preparation sort of state of mind is better than just being completely unaware. Although, there is something to that fool notion, on the tarot card of the fool, where it's the guy with the knapsack and the happy yappy little dog just, going along, I'll just surrender to the turn of events as they're walking off of a cliff. And so there is that element too. But, I always say it takes all kinds. It takes all kinds of techniques and devices to work, not necessarily a physical device, but to work our way through things. To find that workaround, you have to get creative. So, yeah, I think this is us at this place where we're now making a stand. I think we are stepping through the portal and moving to a new thing, which is, I think, a surprise for the opposition, because I think they're used to the programming working and the people just submitting and obeying, and it took us a long time, but we're fed up. Good, yay us. So the next card is the number 47, which adds up to 11. That's my favorite, or you may not know. So this card is Skybridge, and the subtitle is Possibility for Union. So when I look at this card, it just makes me think like, okay, we've stepped through the portal, let's say, and we're on our way to the next set of adventures and moving into a higher vibrational set of sensibilities and society. And, hopefully even the dimension will raise. And that doesn't necessarily require us to physically go anywhere or even imagine it, although that can be part of what it is, but it's the raising of the vibration that allows for changes to happen. Positive changes, which is what we want to be going for. And so the subtitle on here, it's Skybridge, which is also this. It's an extension. It's a higher elevation. So, possibility for union. It doesn't look like it. It doesn't look like the two pillars will ever come to meet, but we typically, in the past, have taken instruction from the top, and what we need is to be a movement that changes things from the ground up. And that does seem to be what's happening. So what the fight is like, one side is trying to create disunity as they go out and disrupt societies, or neighborhoods rather, and unsettle people so that they can't maintain their own cohesion. They get so rattled and so emotional that it's a volatile and probably unsafe situation, considering the fact that this, it's almost like a setup. They made sure we had enough weapons. They made sure that a lot of people had weapons, and now these immigration enforcement agents are out there deliberately trying to provoke people into unwise action, because I think our weapon of choice should be almost ignoring them. I'm not saying we shouldn't, as I was saying earlier, record them and watch them if at all possible, but we shouldn't give them any more openings to hurt us anymore. And also, this was pointed out by a psychic that I was watching. More than one, actually, but we don't really need to be told this. With very little thought, it's pretty visible. By taking the minority groups away, and never mind but by taking them away, removing them from the chain of operations of services and deliveries of products, that's an interruption in the chain like we had with COVID. And this is something they're deliberately creating, and a lot of people would say that so was the COVID thing. I'm going to stay away from that. But this is undeniable. I don't know. It's undeniable that this is the result eventually. That no one is going to be there to do those traditional jobs that sort of kept society moving, it's like, ever since this started, this second term of the president, I've been like, why are people agreeing to this, destruction, in every way of the very place and things that made you wealthy? Why are you saying yes to this? I don't know. I mean, I just don't have an answer. I know a lot of them really, we are tools and game tokens and objects. We're not real people to these people. We are to be of use to them, and that's about it. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. So I don't know, like if you're just mean and cruel, I guess you're just mean and cruel. And that's who we have to deal with. So here is the number 29 card, which is another 11. I got 1111 while I'm talking about this. Look up 11 and 1111 and you'll see why this conversation and these numbers coming at this time are important, because if we can get through these times, the card is the horned cactus, and the subtitle is resourcefulness. If we can get through these times that are proving to be fairly thorny, if we can just, if I can borrow the term, if we can hug the cactus and get through it all and learn to love through this pain, and then resourcefulness, that also speaks to that, oh, you're going to create an obstacle? Well, then I'm going to find a way around it. Always. There's always going to be that form of opposition, because it's not opposition. It is, I mean, God, it sounds so desperate, but it is survival. It's what you do to maintain your life. So it does feel really hard, and it is really hard to embrace what is happening and the people that are making it happen. But it's important to remember that ultimately, because we did all agree to have these things happen, they're going to result in a good something or other for us. I can't be more specific than that, because I think it's going to affect so many people so differently, and the stories that are going to come out when the smoke from all of this kind of clears and things begin to resolve, and we're in for a lot of surprises and happiness, like good things. We can look forward to good things. We're just going to have to embrace a lot of thorny concepts that we're not thinking, like we are not going to see a lot of it coming. What I have seen coming, as I have mentioned, has been pissing me off, but I know the truth of it, so I'm like, it's prickly. Get over it. So the last card is a number 7 card, and lucky number 7. It's the Empty Well card, and the subtitle is Time to Replenish. So we are the well. Collectively, and so many of us don't have empty wells personally. Like, we have a lot to give to society, like whatever we can emotionally or materially. A lot of us are coming forward and doing that, like stepping up where it's necessary and stepping up where it's unexpected. Like, that's even happened to me a couple of times. So I have to say, when I learned subsequently to moving where I live, that it's the most racist county in my state. Which surprised me, because I would have thought that would have been in the East. But no, and I didn't notice it. I mean, I've noticed like regular racist stuff to black people, or not even to me a lot of times, because there's lots of Latino people here too. That was a weird intonation. But just like for someone my age, which is over 60, that crap just kind of rolls off my back at this point. But I haven't even experienced the worst of what I know can be experienced of it. I'm certainly aware of it. I'm like aware that it could happen at any time, I hope it doesn't. I mean, I most would prefer it didn't. And I've been able to like dodge a lot of it, and I'm so thankful for that. But this is not about me. Point is that when we feel like some of us are emotionally bankrupt, the rest of us in the times of crisis kind of come to each other's rescue. And I think what is happening collectively is we're all in now. We're all like, we're gonna fill those empty wells, and the reasons why they're empty, just a multitude. But look at the force, that's out there doing this so-called immigration and naturalization services. That's the old title, but it should be, I guess that's what the job used to be. So I mean, I think that a return to that, or some of it, is good. That's it. Thank you and good night.